just what happened to Veigar. A lot of people have been asking me what I think about these new changes, and I'll be frank, I really don't like them. I think they went way too overboard on the nerfing, especially on his stun, and sure, I won't deny it, his stun was really broken before. A 2.5 second duration instant stun, that's AoE, that sounds a lot like an ultimate, doesn't it? And in fact, it can be compared to Leona ult. In some ways it's actually better. But the sad thing is, as the little counterplays it offers, Veigar really needed that stun. In this new meta, since basically Season 3 started, there's so many assassins, there's so many blinky champions, flashy champions, dashing champions. Without any form of CC, a squishy mage like Veigar is just screwed. Annie has instant stuns, and Serath has basically instant stuns. Why can't Veigar have instant stuns? Sure, his stun is way better, but without it, he's just powerless. He can't set up ganks anymore with his jungler, he can't bait, he can't pick people off, he can't initiate with a flash stun, he can't even defend himself. If he gets dived by Zed, he's basically dead. This is really all because they added such a long delay on his stun. It's a whole second. The animation itself is 0.25 seconds. That's the only wind up time for him to cast a stun. And then this is 0.75 seconds with the actual stun showing itself with the stun particles. It's just too much. Any champion with a blink or a dash can just outright ignore a stun and just run away from it. And people without a dash, well, as long as they have boots, they're basically fine. You can't place the stun directly on them anymore, you need to place it around them, and it gives them so much time to think. They can either just run out of it, or they can just stay in the middle and dodge your W and your Q, because your Q is a skill shot now. Your W is already hard enough to hit without hitting your E first, but now it's even worse. The only reliable damage you have is your ult. You really need your stun. It's like the most vital tool in Veigar's entire kit. Without it, he's pretty much useless. The only thing he can really do is flash ult people. And now they nerfed his ult as well. I mean, it's not a huge nerf, but it is a nerf. And sure, I mean, they did buff him in some ways. They gave him lower mana costs, lower cooldowns, and even some longer range. But that doesn't really make up for all these huge nerfs on his reliability, which was really Veigar's strongest point. It was the fact that he was so reliable. Even if you got screwed in lane, you could just Q farm up, and late game, you land one stun, and you can turn a whole team fight around. But now, you just feel like you're not even part of the game, you feel disconnected. At least I do. I feel like I'm not even a champion when I play Veigar. I think he's actually the worst champion in the game now, and it makes me really sad. I mained him for so long, and now I feel like I can't do anything. Riot did say something about people who played Veigar a lot should be able to show their skill more, and yes, sure, I mean, giving him more difficulty should make people who actually mastered the champ be able to show it, but it's such a huge stun delay that, I don't know, at least I'm having a really hard time landing my stun on basically anything. And I don't know, when I hit it, it's either because someone else stunned the champion that I'm trying to stun before, like a I don't know, a knock-up or a stun or something that lets me place my stun, or the one I'm stunning basically just disconnects, lags out, or runs into my stun. There's just like so much counterplay now, and there's so little you can actually do as Veigar to feel like you're part of the game. I don't know, the stun changes are just horrible to me at least. And I don't know, the range doesn't really make up for it. If you can't land the stun, then what's the point in giving it more range? It doesn't really change anything. The biggest problem right now is the fact that you can't really put any pressure on your lane opponent. Because without your stun, and with your Q being a skill shot that can be blocked by minions, sure, the cool thing about the Q is that it goes through one target, so you can actually double Q farm, and that's really satisfying, and it's fun to do, but the Q feels sluggish, and it's either too wide or too thin. It's too thin when you want to hit a champion, it just passes through them. It happens pretty often actually, and it's too wide when you want to Q farm. Sometimes it hit the wrong minion, and sometimes it hits 2 minions when you want to hit the champion behind it, and I don't know, it's just really tricky. Maybe I'm just not used to it yet, I suppose I'm not, but it just doesn't feel right. It's too slow, it's too short range compared to other skill shots. Like, if you compare it to, I don't know, Sig's or Sarah's, excuse me, they both have way longer range and way more damage with their skill shots. If you compare it to Ezreal, he has shorter cooldown, and he actually gains something from hitting it. I mean, yeah, Veigar gets Q farm, but I mean on champions. Veigar gets Q farm if he kills a champion, I think. Did they remove that? I'm not actually sure, because I don't know, there's just too much trouble with his stun that I'm not even that focused on his Q anymore. And I don't know, Ezreal gets like shorter cooldown whenever he hits his Q, but Veigar doesn't really do that either. Also, the worst part is that as long as there's minions in the way, you can't really poke your lane opponent. I mean, you can poke through one minion and you can like Q farm poke, it's really fun. But the problem is that if there are more than one minion, it's really difficult to actually do anything. Your opponent can just stand behind the minion wave and they're completely safe. You can't use anything on them except your ulti. I mean, unless you hit your stun, but good luck. I don't know, it's just really troubling me. And I don't know, they did do some cool things. I mean, the fact that his Q is a skill shot now makes it possible to snipe people without having vision of them, which is actually pretty cool to do, and it's fun. And that's something I usually do with like Ezreal or Siggs, but I never got to do with Veigar, because whenever you try to Q someone, if they went out of your vision range, your Q just kinda glitched out, disappeared, didn't do damage. Sometimes you didn't even get it back. And now you can actually snipe people, it's fun. It's cool, but that's like the only good thing. The double Q farm and the sniping, that's the only improvements. Everything else is a huge nerf. And I'm not even sure, like sometimes the double Q farming feels like a nerf as well, because you push your lane way harder than before. I don't know, I'm guessing, I mean, yeah, it helps when people shove you into your turret, but at the same time, when you're trying to Q farm one minion, because the turret is trying to poke down the minion, trying to last hit one minion, you can sometimes hit the wrong, you might hit two minions, and it just screws up the whole Q farming process. And pushing your lane as Veigar usually isn't a good idea either, so I don't know, I just really don't like these changes. I think they're just really too harsh, and yeah, sure, give him some counterplay, but don't make him useless, please. It's just not fun to play him anymore. The way he is now, it's just crap, basically. And I don't know, I'm sorry for just going on and ranting, but I don't know, I'm trying to be honest and I'm trying to not be too negative, but there's not a lot to be positive about if you're playing Veigar yourself. I guess playing against Veigar might be more fun now, but at the same time, I don't know, I played against a few Veigars myself, very few, because no one really wants to play him now, but I mean, he wasn't that popular before either. But still, when you play against him, you can just run through his stun. There's nothing to be afraid of, there's no pressure, there's no danger. Every other mid laner has some type of pressure on you. Every single one, even Kassadin. I mean, yes, Kassadin has a weak early game, sure, but he can poke you with a Q, you can't dodge it in any way, and I mean, once he hits 6, he's pretty good. But Veigar, even after he hits his 6, as long as he can't land a stun, he's just not very good, and I don't know, that's my opinion on the new Veigar, so yeah, I don't really like it. But maybe Riot will do something to help him and help him get his spot back as the Master of Evil, because this Master of Crap thing, it just isn't fun. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and leave your opinions on the Veigar changes below. I know a lot of people probably like these changes, I personally don't, but there you go. Tell me why you like them if you do, tell me why you don't if you don't, and I don't know, I'm sure you have some nice points to point out as well, and I'd like to discuss it with you guys, so there's my opinion on the Veigar changes. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.